Welcome to the William Green Study Room at the Mead Art Museum, the public space where any curious visitor may see any object in the college's vast art collections that isn't currently on view upon request. In fact, we're showing less than 1% of our total art collection at any moment, and so it's a pleasure for us and a responsibility to share our collection with the public in our study room. We've brought upstairs a few of the things that people might not expect to find in a fine art museum known for its wonderful Monet landscape and Renaissance altarpieces and ancient Assyrian reliefs. One of the things in front of us, in fact, is a piggy bank, a wonderful 20th century bank acquired by the museum as a representative of the kind of object that inspired one of our most important benefactors. The benefactor in question was Elizabeth Morrow, wife of the first American ambassador to Mexico in the 1920s, with whom she acquired an extraordinary collection of Mexican decorative arts objects. This isn't actually one of the more than 500 works of art that the Morrows' children would leave to the Mead, but it's exactly the sort of painted pig that inspired Mrs. Morrow when she published her children's book on the topic in 1930. That book, together with an exhibition that the Morrows organized with René Darnancourt, the down-on-his-luck Austrian chemist who was their neighbor and friend in Mexico and would later become director of the Museum of Modern Art in New York. That exhibition and the children's book helped to create a taste for Mexican popular art in the United States that would be transformative. Near it on the table are a couple of objects from the dinner service of Lord Geoffrey Amherst, made in Worcester porcelain and showing, rather offensively, two Native Americans dressed as if they are prepared for military battle, but wearing the chains of slavery. They're absolutely astonishing documents of an earlier historical era and demonstrate the way in which Lord Jeff saw himself as a conqueror of the New World and as the tactician whose ruthlessness had helped to win Montreal for the British. Near them, an object of particular interest because it falls somewhat between life and sculpture, is the life mask of an Amherst College alumnus. The person depicted is Talcott Williams, Amherst class of 1873, a journalist and erstwhile art critic who worked for the Philadelphia Press. It was Williams, in fact, who would introduce the celebrated painter Thomas Eakins to Walt Whitman in 1887, and 2 years later, he asked Eakins to prepare his portrait. It was probably around the time that Eakins was painting his sitter's head that he also decided to make a plaster copy of it. Eakins worked with his former student and lifelong friend, Samuel Murray, to prepare this life mask. It's amusing to imagine how Williams, whom Eakins referred to as Talk-a-Lot Williams rather than Talcott, a nickname that stuck in the historical records, would have enjoyed the excuse to quiet his noisy sitter. Nearby is one of the strangest objects to surprise visitors to our storeroom, where it shares shelf space with some carved African figures and a Spanish colonial altarpiece. This, of course, is Amherst's Fiji Mermaid, presumably a 19th century artifact sold to some trusting New England sailor or sea captain as an actual aquatic specimen. Works like this were surprisingly common at the time, and P.T. Barnum famously included a few in his sideshow. We're not sure about the history of our mermaid and how it came to the college. There is a reference in the records of the Natural History Museum that at one point their collection included such an object, and we're not sure if it eventually migrated into the art museum, since it has very little to do with actual natural history, or if it came here through other means. The mermaid would make an interesting subject for conservation analysis. It would be fun to put it into an X-ray machine and see what we found. It looks to those of us who've examined it as if it has some elements from the natural world that have been combined and enhanced with a little bit of overpainting. It would have been typical in the 19th century for the manufacturers of these items to take preserved fish tails and combine them with desiccated monkeys' torsos and heads. In this case, it looks as if the top half of the body has been manufactured from some material and overpainted. Whatever its origin, we're delighted to have it. Of course, these are only a few selections from the museum's more than 16,000 works of art. We would be delighted to show these in the original or anything else that we hold to visitors who'd like to see them. We hope to see you soon.